Hello everyone, I'm Em. Welcome back to my channel. And I don't know about you, but there are a lot of books this summer that I am really excited about. I think the publishers really knew what they were doing when they went about building a banger summer release schedule. And I'm getting so overwhelmed and so excited that I thought let's just do a dedicated new release or highly anticipated release video, because one of these books is coming out pretty soon, or might have like just come out, but the rest of these are going to be coming out at various times throughout the summer. So this will give you a little preview of what's to come, and if you have the same taste as me, hopefully this will tell you what books to put on your radar or which ones to avoid, or if you have the opposite taste from me, same thing. Because I know, for me at least, there are a few booktubers I follow who I have completely different tastes from, and when they don't like a book, that is usually a sign that I need to check it out, because the likelihood that I will love it is usually pretty high. But anyways, I'm going to tell you the books that are on the options for this video. I'm not going to guarantee that I will read every single one of them, but this is the pile of possibilities that I am going to be pulling from when I'm looking to start a new book. First off, we have A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. This is kind of a Tale of Two Cities retelling, from what I understand. Sydney Carton, who is the character from A Tale of Two Cities that has the "'tis a far, far nobler thing that I have done than I will ever do," something like that. He is the main character in this one, and this is a reimagined London where Sydney Carton is a human child, was stolen by the Fae, and Charles, the other dude in A Tale of Two Cities, is the changeling that replaced him. I think. I haven't actually read it yet, so who knows, but I am a sucker for Sydney Carton. Talk about a tragic hero. Like, Sydney Carton walked so that emo YA love interests could run. Another book in this pile is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Beth Durst. This is the sequel to The Spell Shop, which I read last year and I really, really loved. I'm excited to read this one. I know nothing about this plot. I don't know what characters we follow. I'm assuming we're on the same island, but I have no idea. I don't know anything. I just know I love The Spell Shop, and so the probability that I will love this is really high. Kind of along the same lines, I also have Hemlock and Silver by Kingfisher. I will go into release dates for these books as I read them, so like don't worry, I'm not gonna try and look them up now, but like I'll fill you in as we go, okay? This is her next fairy tale retelling. I believe this is a Snow White retelling. I have a real hit or miss with T. Kingfisher's fairy tale retellings. I love her writing so much. She's one of my favorite authors, but her more fairy tale books, I tend not to jive with. The fairy tale books that lean into horror, I do like. So, for example, Nettle and Bone, which I think is a very, even though it's not a specific fairy tale retelling, I didn't like that one very much. But the one that came out last year that I just forgot the name of, The Sorceress Comes to Call, that is a fairy tale retelling that really leans into the horror of classic fairy tales, and I loved it. So I'm not quite sure where Hemlock and Silver is gonna fall. I'm hoping she leans into the horror and it's like a new favorite, but it could go the way of like Nettle and Bone or Thornhedge, where it's just not my jam. I also have, I believe this is a novella, but it's Annalee Newitz's newest book, and it's called it's called Automatic Noodle. There's a robot. I think it involves food. I think it's going to be kind of like cozy found family type stuff, and I don't know, I just love this cover. It's so colorful. It's so great. I haven't read a robot book that I really loved in a long time, other than rereading Murderbot 5 million times, and I'm hoping this is a new favorite. Basically, I got the e-arcs for all of these because I was so hopeful that they're going to be 5-star favorites. And then the last one that I actually already started reading is No Body, No Crime by Tess Sharp. Now this one is, we're kind of going a different direction. This is a thriller, which I don't read, but I really liked the title. I like the cover. It's gay, and I'm like 17% into it so far. I don't know how I feel about it yet, because again, I'm not a thriller reader, but this is about Mel, who is a private investigator, and she is hired to go find Chloe, who Mel and Chloe did something on the night of Chloe's 16th birthday party, and I think this is like the secret of what they did coming back to like bite them in the butt, maybe, who knows. It's told in multi-timelines. It starts with a plane crash in the very first chapter, and we're bouncing back and forth between the night of Chloe's 16th birthday party and then like the time around that event and whatever happened, and the days leading up to the plane crash so far. And it's switching perspective between Mel and Chloe. It's a little confusing so far, I'm gonna be honest. I am having a hard time tracking what's going on in each timeline, but I think I'm kind of starting to get my feet under me a little bit. I also had access to the audiobook from Libro FM, and the author narrates the audiobook, and she does a fine job when it's the narration and when it's Chloe or Mel's voices, but everybody else's voice is so over the top caricature that it is not a fun audiobook for me to listen to. So I'll probably just be reading it with my eyes, which is gonna maybe slow me down a little bit, but I think it's a thriller, so it's supposed to be fast paced, so maybe I will actually like burn through it as quickly as I hope I will. I did read that 17% I all read yesterday, so it feels like it goes fast. Chapters are short. We'll see how this mystery goes, but I'm definitely like starting off this vlog stepping out of my comfort zone because I'm not a thriller reader and I almost never reach for them, and definitely not just a thriller on its own without another subgenre tucked in there for funsies. Like, I'm pretty sure I've read a sci-fi thriller before, but not just like contemporary thriller. So wish me luck. I will update you when I'm a little bit further into this one, and I think this is also a pretty big departure for Tess Sharp. As far as I'm aware, she's predominantly written YA romance in the past, which I kind of thought was going to be what I was getting. So I'm hoping there'll be a romance between Chloe and Mel. We'll see. So welcome to the vlog. Here's the problem with picking up a genre that I don't read very often. Is I can't tell if I didn't like it because it's not well done, or if I didn't like it because this is a genre that I don't enjoy and I don't engage with very often. I meant to update you while I was reading it, but I honestly had nothing to say about it. The dual timeline eventually peters out because you get caught up to where it's present day. However, the whole setup just felt so unbelievable, and I found the scenes really melodramatic and over the top. The villains were very mustache twirly, and I felt like Mel and Chloe didn't have any chemistry, which made find this romance between them and amidst the running for their lives and the mystery of what happened on the night of Chloe's birthday. Really, I wasn't invested. And once the actual event of what happened and how the steps that led up to it, they were all so unbelievable, especially for a book that is supposed to take place in modern day and it's supposed to be like a realistic fiction. There's no speculative element, and I just felt more fantasy than some of the fantasy books I've read lately. I also didn't love the writing. I think this is Tess Sharp's first adult novel, and I could kind of tell. I felt the strongest parts were the flashbacks when Chloe and Mel were 16. Like, that was the strongest part for me, and I did not buy them in their adult moments. Sorry, the curtains are bothering me. I didn't buy them as adults. Even when they were in the timeline where they're 23, they still felt like they were 16-year-olds, and I think maybe this would have been better as a YA thriller. I think it would have made more sense. I probably would have gone into it with different expectations. I'm giving it like a 2.5 stars. It just wasn't for me, and I didn't think it was very good, and I'm so disappointed because I was so interested in it at first, and it's just such a bummer. And I will confirm, audiobook's not good. Don't listen to the audiobook. No offense to Tess Sharp, but the voices were not good. So yeah, that's such a bummer. And a 2.5 even feels nice, but like maybe I should give it a 2, but it was easy to read. It took me 4 days to read. That's not quick. I should have read it in like 2 days or a day and a half. But that was the other thing. The pacing just wasn't, I think because of the way the timelines were set up and how we kept bumping back and forth, because it wasn't like there's just the 2 timelines of when they were 16 and now. You know, we got present day, that first chapter when the plane was crashing, and then we jumped backwards, and then we jumped forwards, and then we jumped a little bit more backwards and a little bit forwards, and then we'd go to like when they were 18, and then we'd jump back to present day, and then we'd jump back to like 2 years before the present day, and then it was just kind of all over the place for a while, and that broke up the momentum, and not in a way that served it. I felt in a way that slowed it down. Anyways, just not, I didn't like it. I'm so sorry. I mean, I don't know who I'm apologizing to. Maybe myself, maybe the book. I wish I had liked it. I really wanted to, but it's just not my jam. What a bummer start to this video. Hopefully the next book is a better hit than this one was, but I'll be interested. I'm going to go read reviews on Storygraph. I wanted to give my thoughts before I read somebody else's thoughts, but I'm going to go read reviews on Storygraph and see if people who read thrillers like it more than I do, and it's just maybe I don't. Maybe this genre is supposed to be kind of melodramatic and unbelievable and over the top, and I just don't understand the conventions of this genre, but I don't know. It is what it is. I didn't like it. I'm not going to read this genre. I'm going to try real hard not to pick up this genre anymore, because it's just, is not for me. It is the rainiest first day of summer, maybe not ever, because this is Oregon after all. Before I tell you about the book I just finished, I do want to backtrack to No Body, No Crime by Tess Sharp and tell you that it comes out July 15th. So if thrillers are more of your thing, or you like a dual timeline and you are still interested in checking this one out, there you go. Moving on to Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz. This is a cozy sci-fi novella. It is set in the future. I think like 21 something is the date that they used. And it's set in California in the Bay Area, which is where Annalee Newitz is from. And the United States has gone through some changes. California has ended up annexing from the United States. And so North America is now made up of the countries of Canada, the United States, Mexico, and California. We're following this group of robots who wake up in what's called a ghost kitchen. And a ghost kitchen is basically a kitchen that is not run by humans or operated by humans, but by robots. And so these bots wake up in this ghost kitchen, and bots have been given citizenship in California. You can no longer own a bot. They have rights, but they can't have a bank account, and there's something else that they couldn't do. But in the rest of the United States, they're still used as enslaved beings, basically. And so these robots wake up in this ghost kitchen, and some of them have been like indentured servants, more or less, and still have money to pay off on their, I don't even know what it's called, still have money to pay off. And so they decide to open up a restaurant, but it's like illegal for robots to run this restaurant without a human. So they like hack the government organization and pretend to have human owners, and they want to open up a noodle shop. And so it's a very cozy mix of food and community. And there are themes. Honestly, the way people talk about robots in this book reminds me a lot of the rhetoric about immigrants that MAGA people spew onto the internet. So I think there's a lot of themes about personhood and immigrant status and like things that are obviously very applicable, because Annalee Newitz is 100% not writing in a vacuum. I am giving this a 3.5. I thought it got cozier as it went along. I definitely enjoyed the latter half more than I enjoyed the first half. Our main character, Stay Behind, is a former military robot and has a lot of trauma after fighting in this war between California and the United States, and has a lot of like anxiety to work through. But like the other robots that he works with are all like feel very fully fleshed out. There is also a human that helps them in setting up and running this restaurant, and it feels very Legends and Lattes, where you're just watching this group of people open this shop and learn how to do things and reach out to their community and be more of a part of their community and open themselves up to more relationships and more people. And I think that's really lovely. It didn't land for me the way I wanted it to. Like I said, I enjoyed it more the farther in we got to it. And by the time it ended, I felt like I was finally like, oh yeah, okay, let's go. I'm here. I got it. I know everybody. I'm invested. I also felt like the ending was a little abrupt. It doesn't really wrap up. It just kind of ends, and I wish there had been a little bit more of, not necessarily a bow, because I understand like they're just getting started and there's not really the end to the story, but I don't know. I wish there had been more of like more closure with this particular story, or even just like a teeny tiny bit longer. I read it on my Kobo, and then I also listened to the audiobook, and Grossland does the narration, and I've listened to them read before. They've done the Psalm for the Wild Built duology and did a really, really great job. And I feel like I've heard them read something else. Oh, they read The Story of the 100 Promises by Neil Cochran, which is a queer Beauty and the Beast retelling that I absolutely love. And they narrated that. Grossland is a great narrator, and I always really enjoy when I hear them read books. Not a whole lot to say about this one because it is so short and it is more cozy. I don't know that there's a ton to talk about. I think if you like Becky Chambers, you would probably dig this. It's got very similar vibes. Annalee Newitz tends to write very differently each time they write something. This is the third book of theirs that I've read now, and all three books have been wildly different from each other. And I do appreciate an author who does something new every time they come out of the gate. And even if I don't necessarily love everything that it is, I appreciate the effort of being creative, trying something new, trying a new subgenre, a new style, what have you. I like that and I respect that. So I would definitely recommend this one. I have no idea. Actually, I do know what I'm going to pick up next. I was going to say I have no idea, but I do. So I've read two things back to back that weren't my favorite. Not bad, but just weren't really formulated for me. So I'm going to pick up another book that is already out, because these other two don't come out till later in the summer. But this one just came out last week. It came out on June 17th. Heaven knows when this vlog is going to go out. And this is A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry, which I'm so excited about because it's a retelling of A Tale of Two Cities, which is one of my favorite classics, and I'm so excited because the setup is that Sidney Carton, who is the character from, did I just say this already? I'm having deja vu. He's the character from A Tale of Two Cities that says, "'Tis a far, far better thing I do now than I have ever done before," as he goes to the guillotine to get, if you're mad that I just spoiled A Tale of Two Cities, it's like 200 years old. I can't. You just have to go with it, okay? So in this reimagining, Sidney Carton was stolen by the fairies as a child, and Charles Darnay, who is the like hero of A Tale of Two Cities, is the changeling that the fairies left in his place. I'm really excited to read this. H.G. Perry is one of those authors where I really think I'm gonna love her. I just have to find the book that is the right fit. And if this one is not the right fit, I'm going to be like, if this is not at least a 4.5, I'm going to quit reading. It's so dramatic, but I might. I don't know. I should love this book. So anyways, I'm going to read this next. Because this is a full-length novel, I promise I will come and update you as I go instead of just waiting until the end. But this is going to be next on deck. What if I don't actually like H.G. Perry? I've been telling myself that she could be my favorite author if I find the right book. It's kind of the same thing I tell myself about Aliette de Boudoir, even though everything I've read from her has been like a 3.5 star. I'm convinced if I find the right book, it's going to be a 5 star. And I've kind of convinced myself the same thing with H.G. Perry, though I have less grounds for that with Perry than I do with Aliette. At least with Aliette, I've read enough of her books to know eventually I'm going to fire them the 5 star. This is exactly what it is pitched at. It is a retelling of A Tale of Two Cities. We are telling the same story, just with the lens shifted a little bit and with like a magical component introduced. So far, all the plot points have been exactly the same. And I'm learning this year through reading The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo and now this. And I kind of suspected this already in my responses to reading fairy tale retellings. I don't think I like a retelling. I think I like an inspired by, because there's more room to play and there's more room to do something different. And when it's a retelling, we're staying within the lanes, like we're coloring inside the lines, which is great, but I don't find that as exciting as an inspired by story. So there's that. How many pages? I am past the 50 page mark. I am 62 pages in. I don't necessarily want to DNF because I've already DNF'd a story by H.G. Perry, but I do have other arcs that I am really excited to read, and I'm not really wanting to read a book right now that I have to pull myself through. I want to be reading something that I'm excited about. So I'm going to pause this and not finish it in this vlog. I may finish it in a different vlog. I may finish it on my own time and then just talk about it in a wrap up, hopefully at the end of July. But I am going to put it aside for now, and I am going to pick up Hemlock and Silver because I just got the audiobook for this from Macmillan's audiobook program. So thank you so much. I'm so excited. They sent me this. I also have the e-arc from NetGalley, and Macmillan Audio also sent me the audiobook for this, and I have listened to it a little bit, and I like it a lot. I think this might be one of the few books that when I come back to it, I primarily read on audio because I really like it. I really like the guy who's narrating it, and it feels like I'm listening. Like it feels like he could be narrating A Tale of Two Cities. So I think that's the plan. Pause. I'm going to switch to Hemlock and Silver because it's T. Kingfisher. This is also a fairy tale retelling. I believe it's Snow White. So we'll see if it's actually a fairy tale retelling or if it's inspired by a fairy tale, because T. Kingfisher has this track record too. When she does her fairy tale retellings and she sticks close to the fairy tale, I tend to not like them very much. I didn't love Nettle and Bone. I gave it like a 3. I thought it was fine, even though that's not like a fairy tale retelling. It is definitely like an inspired by fairy tale. I didn't love that one. I also didn't love the Sleeping Beauty retelling, but I loved When a Sorceress Comes to Call. So I don't know what the rules are when it comes to T. Kingfisher. I like her the most when she is doing a fairy tale and she is leaning into the inherent horror that exists in classic fairy tales. So we'll see how much she leans into the horror on this one and whether or not it's a favorite or if it's another 3-star, this is fine kind of book. So I'm going to get started on that, and I'll come back and update you when I've made some progress, and hopefully it will be just the absolute bestest time I've ever had in my entire life, and I'll be so happy to talk to you about it. Hello, new release vlog. I put you down for a while because Summerween happened and I needed to focus on all the spooky ooky horror, but that's over and now I'm back. And I am 30% of the way through Hemlock and Silver, which is T. Kingfisher's new book that comes out sometime this summer. I'll get back to you on that. And this is a Snow White retelling. Now, I usually have a very hit or miss relationship with T. Kingfisher's fairy tale retellings, even though I absolutely adore her as an author. Sometimes her fairy tale retellings swing a little too earnest, cozy. I don't know what it is about them, but a lot of the time I think they're just fine. With the exception of A Sorceress Comes to Call. That is my favorite of her fairy tale retellings because I think it's because she leans into how horrific traditional fairy tales are, like Hans Christian Andersen, Grimm's Brothers, like truly nightmare fuel in a lot of those fairy tales. And I think it's a real missed opportunity when authors just kind of gloss over that part of the stories. Our main character in this is Anya, and she is like most T. Kingfisher protagonists. She's a little bit older. She's a spinster. She's very set in her ways. She's a little socially awkward, and she has been obsessed with poisons since she was a child when she saw her cousin die from hemlock poisoning. And there's no cure there's no antidote for hemlock, and it sets her on this journey, that's a wrong word, and she becomes obsessed with why there are antidotes for some poisons but there aren't for others. And so we get a little bit of her childhood, and then we go forward. I don't know how old she is, but she's definitely like 30s, maybe 40s, maybe 50s. I'm not sure. And the king's wife and one of his daughters has died, and his youngest, or maybe she's not the youngest, his last remaining daughter, Snow, is ill. And he worries that she has been poisoned. And so he has Anya come to the castle to examine Snow and determine what is making her ill. And at the part I'm at, she's just gotten to the castle and has just met Snow and is trying to figure out what could be wrong by interviewing the servants and observing Snow, seeing what she eats, what she drinks. You can tell that she is supposed to be like the wicked, like Anya is supposed to be the wicked witch coded character, because she doesn't like mirrors, because she's afraid that she's going to see something in them that's not really there. And I don't know how closely she is going to stick to the fairy tale, or if she's going to just kind of have nods to it like she did in A Sorceress Comes to Call. And I guess Thornhedge, there were more nods to Sleeping Beauty than it was actually Sleeping Beauty. But anyways, it's fine so far. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. And the audiobook is really good, so it's nice to listen to while I'm doing chores. And I really do find T. Kingfisher's writing to be very comforting and dependable, which is nice. I'm not missing the book when I'm not listening to it or reading it. And actually, I do have the e-arc and I've barely read it at all. I do prefer to listen to it, which I find with most T. Kingfishers. Generally, I prefer her books on audio. But finally gave you an update. It's been in the back of my mind for like the last week and a half that I need to get back to this vlog and I need to update you and let you know how it's going. And I just keep, I just had summer reading, and then I just had to get back into like a rhythm of like, what does my normal reading life look like when I'm not reading for summer ween? And I'm hoping to finish this pretty quickly. I would like to squeeze in a fourth book, either circle back around to A Far Better Thing, or there's another arc that I would like to read, even though the book that arc is for just came out like 2 days ago. But it's fine. It's fine. So anyways, I will come back and I'll let you know when I've read a little bit more. I think I'm going to try to update you around like the 60% mark, unless like it gets really good and I end up just devouring it real quick. But I don't know that that's going to be the case, but you never know. Okay, I overshot a little bit. I'm 74% of the way through Hemlock and Silver, and I am enjoying this more than I was previously. It is slow to get going. There is a lot of talking and it was feeling really repetitive because Anya gets to this castle and she's trying to solve this mystery of what's going on with the princess. And because she doesn't know what is happening, she goes in circles for a bit. And that part felt really repetitive and not very interesting. And she didn't really have any relationships with anybody, and so she was really isolated, and it was boring. It's just boring. It was sad to say. I found it boring. And now, no, I wish I had been tracking more. Maybe it was at the 40% mark. She makes a discovery, and I haven't read the synopsis, so I don't know what is in the synopsis and what would be considered a spoiler. But she makes a discovery about the castle and about something that the princess is getting access to that she's not supposed to have. And then it shifts into a little bit of like a portal fantasy and started to remind me a lot of either the Hollow Places or the Twisted Ones. I think Hollow Places. I think that's the T. Kingfisher horror where she goes through the portal in the wall and ends up in another world, and there's like eldritch horror beings in that book, and it's super creepy. So this is reminding me of this, where Anya has discovered portal, shall we say, another place. And this place is very sinister and she's leaning into the horror elements. And so of course, now that we have horror elements, I'm enjoying it so much more. And she now has a friend among the royal guard, so she has somebody to talk to and to play off of. We have a animal companion, which we always have in a T. Kingfisher book. We actually have two. We have one that I won't spoil, that's fine. And then we have another, which is a rooster. And he's not a talking rooster. He's just a rooster, but like I really enjoy that rooster and how he is utilized. So I feel like the hallmarks of a T. Kingfisher book that I really enjoy, those elements have come out to play a lot more and were absent for a large part of the book. And I just ended on a chapter that had a pretty big cliffhanger, and I was like, I have to come update the vlog now because it's either now or don't. update until I finished the book, and I wanted to do like a more into the book update, so I had like evidence that my feelings toward the book had changed. I wish this beginning had been stronger, because based off of what is happening now, like if the whole book had been like this, my rating would have been so much higher. But when I finish the book, depending on how the ending goes, I'm gonna have to pick a rating that matches how I felt the whole way through the book, not just the last like 30% of the book. Which I hate that. I just want them to be good the whole way through. I don't want to have to like struggle. But I did think about DNFing it earlier because I was bored, and I was like, I don't want to DNF a T. Kingfisher book because I've never DNF'd a T. Kingfisher book, and that just seems like I don't want that for myself. I want to love everything she writes, and I know that is impossible to love absolutely everything, every bit of art one person creates, but that's what I want for myself. So anyways, my Kobo says I have like an hour left, so I'm hoping I can finish it today and then give you my final review. But I'm so glad it's picked up and that I'm enjoying it more, because I was so sad when I thought I didn't like it. Oh my gosh, friends, what a day. We just got home. And we're gonna leave again shortly. But I finished Hemlock and Silver this morning, and I am giving it 4 stars. I really loved the ending. Like the whole like last 40%, 50%. I thought it was so good. It was everything that I love about T. Kingfisher. I loved the horror elements, the like world that she created, you know, with it being the kind of portal fantasy. The other world that she created was so cool and so creepy, and I really grew. I mean, I liked Anya the whole time. I just felt like there was a lot of talking at the beginning and a lot of repetition, which I did not love. But I did really like Anya. She's a very T. Kingfisher main character. There is a romance in it that I thought was really sweet, and I loved the evolution of that romance, and it just was so like it was all the stuff I love. I just wish the beginning had been as strong as the ending was, but alas, it was not. So 4 stars, and I don't think I'll buy a copy. I'm trying to be knowing that not every T. Kingfisher book hits for me. I'm trying to not auto buy her anymore and to try it out ahead of time, so then I can determine, oh yeah, this is the one I love that I want for my collection that I will read again, or no, I don't need to own this one, it's fine. So I think this is one I don't need to own. I can save my money. And I debated whether or not to end this vlog here, but I have one more book that I really want to read, and that is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Beth Durst, which is the sequel to The Spell Shop, which was a 5-star book for me last year. Oh, before I move on, I didn't tell you the pub date for Hemlock and Silver. It comes out on August 19th. A couple more weeks, depending on when I get this video out. It's coming out soon. Now, The Enchanted Greenhouse is already out. It came out, well, last week for me. Who knows for you in the current timeline. But I really want a 5-star in this video because I haven't had one. And like I said, Spell Shop was 5 stars. I really love Beth Durst's writing. I have no idea what happens in the Enchanted Greenhouse. Like, I don't know if we're continuing on with the same characters, if we're doing like a traditional romance novel series where they're like standalone, but like the world is the same. I don't know. I have no idea. I have not looked into this synopsis at all, but I love the cover. I think it's so cute, and I really like her writing. And I have the audiobook too, and I have a e-arc, so you know, we're just gonna dive in, and hopefully it is a 5-star like The Spell Shop was. Alright, I desperately owe you an update for The Enchanted Greenhouse. I was gonna update you at 30%, but then I didn't have a whole lot of thoughts at 30%, and then I got sick again and wanted to wait until I felt a little bit better, which I do today. Hopefully my voice isn't too funky. It sounds funky to me, but you know how it is when you have a cold and you can never quite tell if like you sound as bad to everyone else as you sound in your head. But anyways, I'm now 57% of the way in, and I'm not loving this the same way I loved The Spell Shop. A little bit of backstory. So The Spell Shop by Beth Durst is cozy fantasy, and it's about this woman who runs away from the city she lives in and the library she works at because there's like a revolution, and she escapes with this sentient talking plant named Kaz, who honestly is like the best character in that book. And she runs away to this island that her family used to live on, and it's about finding community, and there's a romance,
romance, though it's sometimes I see it classified as romantasy. It's not romantasy. It is cozy fantasy with like a lovely romance subplot, but that's like not the main point. But it's really about this woman letting her guard down, learning how to trust people again, finding her community and people who love her and will protect her and she feels safe with. I loved it. I know the main character, I've totally forgotten her name, but I know she doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but I love a prickly heroine who needs to learn how to trust again. That is like one of my favorite things in books. So the Enchanted Greenhouse, we are in the same world. You do not have to have read The Spell Shop to read this. And we're following Turla, who works at the same library that the main character from The Spell Shop worked at. Does that count as a spoiler? I'm not sure. Anyway, she does something that is not allowed in this land. And her punishment is that she's turned into a stone statue, which, what a punishment. My gosh, it seems so extreme. And so we get her at the beginning when she's being sentenced and then like right before she's turned into a statue. And then the next chapter starts 6 years later where she has been de-statued. And she is on this island with all these greenhouses, and there's a man who lives there, and the greenhouses are in trouble, and she volunteers to help him save these greenhouses using the skill set that got her turned into a statue in the first place. Now, here's the thing. I don't like Turla, our main character, as much as I liked our main character from The Spell Shop. She's fine. Like, she's not bad, but her anxiety manifests in her being a little bit anxious and really wanting to please the people around her and really looking for validation, where I think the heroine in The Spell Shop, her name is Keela. Her anxiety manifested as prickly and cranky and standoffish. And that's my preference if we're gonna swing one way or the other. I don't like it when the anxiety swings into people pleasing, even though I am a people pleaser. But like when I'm reading in fiction, that is my preference, and I don't like the other one quite as much. I think because it makes me more anxious because I see more of myself in that one maybe. And so it hits a little too close to home and then I feel uncomfortable. Anyways, Turla is on this island and I would say the romance is probably a little bit more prevalent in this one, but I do feel like it's been a little quick. She was thinking about what it would be like to kiss this guy real fast. I also think the sentient plant situation in this one, while it is still really cool, and there is one I really like, Sarah Beth Durst set the bar so high with Kaz in the first one that nobody else is going to live up to him. So I've had less giggling, kicking my feet moments in this book. It's a fine book. I am enjoying it. I really like the audiobook. I really like the narrator, but it's just not hitting me emotionally the way the first book did. I still like it though. I still think it's fun. I still think it's cozy. I like that there are stakes, and for the characters the stakes feel really high, but for us as readers, you know everything's gonna work out okay. So like it's not stressful to read, even though the characters may be stressed out about what's happening. And that's like my perfect brand of cozy fantasy. I want there to be stakes for the characters. I want the characters to be working for something. I want their stakes to be high, for their investment in what's happening to be high. I want there to be plot, but I want it to be the kind where I know everything's going to work out and they are going to be fine and nothing irreversible is going to happen to anybody. Like, that's my ideal cozy fantasy. And I feel like Sarah Beth Durst really nails it in that regard. So I am having a good time. I really like this world. I really like how the characters in these books are fantasy characters. Like, Turla has purple skin, and I think that's just great. And I love, and like the guy, I forgot his name. Why can't I remember anybody's name? He has like gold skin, I think, and like black and gold hair. So like black hair with golden streaks. So I really like that she really leans into the fantasy of this. And there's a lot of fantastical creatures. Like there's a cat with wings in this book who is really delightful. And I just love all the fantasy characters that she has in these books. So I'm hoping to finish it today or tomorrow, depending on how this afternoon goes. But I think it's a really lovely time, and I would definitely recommend it if you like The Spell Shop. I would even more recommend it if you did not care for Keela in The Spell Shop, because I think if Keela wasn't for you, I think Turla would be more up your alley, is my guess. So anyways, I'm going to try to finish this, and I'll come back and let you know my final thoughts and my final rating, because right now I have no idea what I'm going to rate this book. Okay, friends, I finished The Enchanted Spell Shop last night, and I am giving it a 3.5-star rating. Okay, let me give the positives first. I love how much these books are about hope and about community and how important it is to be with other people and not to just isolate yourself away, and healing from past hurts, and that I love. I love all that. I think that's a really great theme to have woven throughout a story. And I really like that. And I liked a lot of the sentient plants. Like I said, no one can really compare to Kaz, but these ones they're still pretty good, especially Dendi, the philodendron. Oh, he was so good. He was a close second to Kaz. I did like also how she kind of at the end tied this one together with the spell shop. We really like brought it back around. And I thought that was really sweet. I feel like, as much as I can appreciate the romance, I felt like the romance happened too fast. And I wanted there to be a slower build. As much as I can't say I don't like insta-love. Sometimes I do. My husband and I were kind of insta-love. Well, insta-love on my part. But so I can't say I don't like it without being a huge hypocrite. But I love a delayed gratification with a romance. I love having to wait for something to happen. And I feel like with this one, I've already forgotten her name. Turla, she just was into him so quickly. After being a statue for 6 years, I was like, girl, don't we have other things to focus on first? But that's fine. It's fine. It's not the point. I understand it's not the point. There is a bit later on where she talks about how she's been told that she's too much by her family and by previous partners. And it hurt a little bit because I had been thinking, oof, this girl's a lot. In my defense, I have people in my life who I think would describe themselves as being a lot, or other people have told them they're a lot. And I love those people so much, and they are so important to my life. And I would never describe them as being too much, but those are people in my real life who I have a relationship with and I love. And I can be patient and empathetic to them when they're having a moment or maybe being a little overwhelming. This is fiction, and I don't have to have patience for a fictional character. So sadly, her being too much ended up annoying me more often than not. And it's so sad to say. There's also a part where some more characters got introduced, which on the one point I liked because it expanded the world a little bit. It was very narrow with just the two main characters and the plants on this island, and I like when we expanded more characters. However, I didn't really like the characters that we added. They were annoying and rude in some parts, and just not, I don't know, I felt like they came to add conflict, and I didn't like it. So I think this one was just fine for me, which is sad. But also I feel good about not buying a physical copy and starting to recognize that maybe having auto by authors isn't a great idea because not everything an author puts out is going to hit for me. So I think if the spell shop did not work for you, try out the Enchanted Greenhouse, because I think Sarah Beth Durst is doing different things. There are different characters, there's like character personalities, the conflict is totally different. It is a totally different book. It's not like she just copy and pasted the bullet points from the spell shop and added new people and called it a day. Like, this is definitely a different book. And I think if you liked the idea of the spell shop, but the execution or the plot or the characters didn't work for you, I would say try this, because it is different enough in all of those things that it might be more your vibe. If you did love the spell shop, I would still pick it up. I think this is a perfectly fine cozy fantasy. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. I think she wrote believable characters. I think the setting is great. It just wasn't the right character personality. It wasn't the character personalities that I like to read about, and it wasn't a conflict that I found engaging, I guess, riveting. Like, I wasn't as invested with the conflict and the resolution as I was in the smell shop. So there's that. I mean, I was really hoping we are going to end this vlog on a 5-star, but this is not, it's not in the cards today. So since I've done a really bad job of keeping track and letting you know of when all these books are coming out or have come out, here is a little graphic so you can see what the release date is. And I think like 2 of these books are out already and 2 have not come out or just about to come out. Who knows? What is time? But there you have it. And with that, we are going to end this vlog since I did read 4 books and had a pretty okay time. This vlog has been stretched out over quite a few weeks. I believe I started filming it at the beginning of July and it is now the end of July. So my memory for how, oh, maybe it was even the beginning of June. Yeah, I started filming this in June. So it's been a long time. So I don't really remember the first 2 books that I read in this vlog because it was so long ago, which tells you something about how they have stuck with me. But I am glad I was able to prioritize these highly anticipated books that were coming out, and now I have read them, and yeah, I can knock them off my NetGalley, which is so great. Love that for me. So thank you so much for watching and spending your precious time with me. If you would like to leave a comment, I would love to know what books you are looking forward to this summer, or if something has already come out that you've been highly anticipating, I would love to know what that is. If you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you were here, let's leave a cat emoji for a creature in the greenhouse. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!